Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and today we're going to work on a reel that's seized up. This is a Shimano Nasci. It's the 1000 version of the reel. Robert owns the reel. He says he took it fishing down in Mexico, and well, it's seized up. This is unusual, and it's unusual because it's a relatively straightforward design in the reel. I'm almost thinking, without even looking, that this has got the dreaded anti-vibration ring meltdown. It happens frequently in some of these models of reels. We're going to find out. We're going to take this reel apart completely. We'll diagnose the issue with the reel. We'll see if we can't repair it during this video. If not, we'll all learn from why it broke and what the next steps will be in order to correct this and get this reel out there fishing, giving it a second chance. If you like these types of videos, I want to encourage you to subscribe. If you do subscribe, please use that notification button. That'll let you know when I'm posting, and well, you can make a decision as to whether that's a video you would like to see. So this has got the Shimano design that incorporates an anti-vibration ring under the rotor, and this rotor is not spinning at all. That ring is, I believe, made out of rubber. And while the issue that we have there is when you grease and oil these reels, it degrades the rubber ring, turns it into a goo, and then the goo eventually snaps the anti-vibration ring, jamming up the space between the rotor and the case. And well, the rest, well, it's kind of history. The reel doesn't move very well. It skips sometimes it doesn't even move. All right, well, you can see I've been removing the pieces and parts. I just removed the rotor nut cover, and as I take those pieces and parts off, I put those into a parts tray. So we're going to continue here. We have a what I believe is a 12mm nut. I go grab a deep socket, and this one tells you that it comes off in a reverse thread. So you want to set your ratchet wrench so that you can turn it clockwise. That will enable you to remove this. I encourage you, if you're doing this type of work, and particularly if you're not familiar with a reel, go ahead and get the schematic. So I got the schematic. It's always a good advanced look in terms of what we're going to see. This here is that friction ring that I'm talking about. It may not be that, but at least, you know, if I was to guess, if I was handicapping things, I would say that's probably where the issue is. All right, the nut is off. We can remove this. And interestingly enough, it is not the friction ring. The friction ring is intact, and there you go. That's, I guess, a good reason as to say why you should or shouldn't bet. But the bottom of this reel is still stuck. So now we're going to think, okay, maybe it's a broken piece or part. Next step then, I can remove the case and the bump guard. We're going to start with that bump guard. If it gets messy, we'll put a glove on here to kind of save my hands from getting all the dirt and debris on there. There's some salt on that. And I think that's the only screw holding this one on. Yeah. You need to be careful as you remove this, as you don't want to break a piece or part. They do get expensive, and they do get, well, sometimes they don't even have availability. If that's an issue, you may lose a reel because, well, haste. We have 3 Phillips head screws that should be able to come out with a number 1 Phillips head screwdriver. They also have that flat blade pass-through. If you get one that's particularly stuck, go ahead and use that flat blade to get it unstuck. You can also use a micro screw. Now, I don't like this because this is coming out right away, which says there's a lot of tension in the case. So I don't know what's going on in there. We're going to find out. All right, these are the 3 screws that hold the bottom case in. When I take them out, I put them on my table just to make sure that they're all the same size. If they're not the same size, I mark where the longer or the shorter screw, the thinner or the wider screw, comes out from. All right, I do want to remove the anti-vibration ring at this point. This is kind of a big rubber band. I just had a sustain come in. that did have that issue. It had a meltdown. You just need to be a little bit careful on that part over here where the trip ramp is. It does get a little tight. All right, that's the ring. We know it's not that. And at this point we can also remove the anti-reverse clutch. There's 4 screws on here. 3 of them are meant to be removed. Those are the ones that are sitting in the triangle pattern. The one that's got the indent on it you don't want to remove. That's holding the cover on for the roller bearings. And then we'll take that lower cover off. We'll take a look, see what's underneath there, and see what's going on. Okay, the clutch comes up and off. That includes the clutch inner sleeve. Now we can remove the case. And we'll get the first look at what's happening with this reel. Your case. This is interesting. It looks like the only problem with this reel is that the screw that holds your axle shaft on is not tight. Now, I don't know how that worked its way out, but you can see it here. Hopefully you can see it here. We'll just give you a couple of shots at that, but you can see there's a big gap here. I suspect what's happening is as this gets up here, it locks into the main gear. I'm going to take that screw out. Hopefully it's not damaged. Hopefully we can put it back in and get this reel out there fishing again. And examine the threads. The threads are okay. I don't know how that would work its way loose. Let's remove the axle shaft. We can remove the main gear. We're doing a parts inspection now. You can just flip your axles, your crosswind block up if you like. It's held on by a little, just take the bar out. The bar's going to come out of the bottom of the case like this. You can take our crosswind block, crosswind gear. Make sure that all of these go into the parts tray so that we don't lose them. We can pull our main gear out. And now we're down to an empty case with some grease in it, so let's clean that up. So these are popular reels, and I'm not quite sure what he was fishing for in Mexico. A 1,000 size reel is generally a freshwater reel. It's small, it's got nice utility to it, and overall, it's very versatile. Ponds, rivers, streams, canoes, kayaks, boats. I'm going to oil that bearing on there. The back is pretty dead clean. Now here's a little bit of an indication that it probably was that, and a little bit of a hope that maybe this isn't damaged as much. But there is 2 gears here, right on the top, that have lost, at a minimum, they've lost their paint. And, well, we're going to see if it affects the performance too much. But that would say that that screw that came wide, came loose, got stuck right there. All right. I'm going to remove the bearing from our pinion gear. This is a good time for me to bring out a paper towel. I'm going to oil this bearing. Both sides, let that sit in. Again, the gear is clean. The hope is that it's not damaged. I always tell you, check the teeth. This is an example of why you would want to do that. It looks like there's some minor damage. We're going to see how it works when we put it back together again. Oil the bearing that's still in the case. And we can start some reassembly on this. Check the teeth on your oscillation gear. Whenever you get something that gets loose, like that screw, it could cause damage in other pieces and parts as well. So don't just think that it has something to do with the main gear and nothing else. You need to check them all. I'm going to put that back in. I'm going to clean the pinion gear. I'm going to use a brush to pull through, and this is why I use the paper towel. I pull through on that pinion gear and I let the dirt accumulate on the towel so that I don't transfer it. Using fishing reel grease, we will lubricate this. I'm using Penn Precision Reel Grease here. We'll take the bearing that we just had, put the bearing onto the pinion gear, bring the pinion gear assembly back into the fold here. There is a rubber seal right here. Make sure that you're aware of that. And we can put our sleeve back on. There's a hole I'm checking for right there. There's a stud that goes here. So this clutch was designed to be used with an AR override. This reel does not have that. So that little stud that's sitting up there goes where your AR override arm would have gone. So just check underneath. There is an indentation for that. Let's bring this over now. Bring this down. And that's your little cap for your rotor. We can turn our attention underneath then. Going to clean up that rod that's going to control the anti-reverse guide. That's going to go with the narrow tip facing up. I'm going to grease this main gear and I hope that that's going to be limited damage there. Front and back on the grease. We can insert that into the back bearing. Cleaning a crosswind block. Do the same thing, grease the back of it. That's the only part that's going to be in play here. Bring the crosswind block on and over. Narrow side of the pin goes in first. Thread that through the plate, bring it up and in, making sure it's fully seated there. This is the all-important piece right now, is is that screw damaged or injured when you put the axle shaft through and on. I'm going to clean off the axle shaft. Use a light coating of grease on it. Bring this in through. Align it. And let's grab a micro driver here with a Phillips head. A little dab of grease to hold that screw to get it started. And let's see what happens. Okay, it's tightened down, so I think we're going to be in good condition with that. I'm going to take the ring, put the ring back on now. Oh, I think we'll just let that sit over the top for a moment. We can close the case up now. There's no more internal parts here. So let's bring the case in first. That has a nice tight snap to it. We wanted to hear that. There are 3 screws. They're all the same size. We noted that earlier. to hold the case on. So let's go ahead and install those. And I guess pretty soon we'll find out, is that an issue or not, after we put the rotor on. Bring our